What's up guys, my name's Brandon, and after posting this screenshot on Twitter a few days ago, a ton of you guys asked me how I was able to achieve 12 plus hours of battery life on my iPhone 12 Pro. And just to confirm that it was not a fluke, I continued using this phone constantly, more than usual, throughout the next 2 days, and I found that I was getting the same great battery life results. So I figured that would make for a great video. So in this video, I'm gonna be sharing some quick tips and tricks on how to get the most out of your iPhone 12 or iPhone 12 Pro's battery life. And this video is going to be specific to the iPhone 12 and iPhone 12 Pro after my first few days of daily usage. It's not going to cover every little thing like my iOS 14 battery saving tips video, which is over 30 minutes long by the way, but this will give you an idea as to how I'm handling battery life with my new iPhone 12 Pro here. All right, so first off, I want you guys to be able to analyze your battery and screen time chart. So if I go into my settings here and then go down to my battery, you will have this chart right here. And a lot of you guys do not know how to properly read this chart, and I think it is very crucial to fully understand this because it will give you a lot of insight as to where your battery is going. So as you can see right here up at the very top, I have it selected for my last 24 hours, and the last time I was charged to 100%, basically the time I took the phone off the charger, was at 9:42 a.m. And as you can see now, it's almost 11 p.m. And as you can see throughout the day, I have not charged my phone one time, and I'm still at 8% battery life. So well over 12 hours of usage. And you can see here, it's not like I just wasn't using my phone. I had almost 10 hours of screen on time throughout the day. And you can see right here as well, the activity. This will actually show you, how much you're using it throughout that day and throughout the hours as well. So like if you click on one of these, so it'll show from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. right here for this example. And you can see it shows that right there, 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. I was using Instagram, Robinhood, Twitter. You can see the percentages right there. And if you tap on it, it shows you how much time you spent on screen. And if you tap it again, it shows, of course, how much of your battery percentage or how much of your battery drained due to those applications. And so if you go to this chart and you see like a big drop, so like right here, there seemed to be a slight drop right there. And it looks like maybe Instagram was the cause of it for some reason at that time frame from 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. So I don't know, you guys just need to understand this chart and just look at it because you can really find some of the potential battery killers that you might not have noticed before just from looking at these applications. And if you go down, you can see that the home and lock screen only takes up 4% of my battery, and I was on there for an hour and 5 minutes on the screen. Now, the reason it's only at 4% and not higher is because I do not have a lot of widgets. I mean, take a look at my home screen. It is very clean. I did not follow those tutorials to get a super pretty, aesthetic home screen on iOS 14, because if you have those third-party widgets, pretty much the more widgets you have, the more your battery life is going to drain, which is why I only have one stack right here. Now, yes, some of these things do, rely on an internet connection and, give you data back like the weather right here and also the news. So yes, that could consume some battery life, but I like seeing some of the top headlines. I'm not gonna, just not use some of the features because I want to get good battery life. No, that's, it's fine if you only have like one stack or 2 or 3 stacks like that. But if you start using, like Widgetsmith and some of these third-party widgets and you have them on every single screen, then yeah, that's going to eat up some of your battery life. So you guys really need to pay attention to the widgets you're putting on your home screen and kind of use them sparingly. Now, of course, I could not make this video without talking about 5G because 5G is undoubtedly another battery killer with the iPhone 12, which is why I have mine set to auto inside of my cellular settings. So if we go to my settings in here and go to cellular and then go to cellular data options right here and then to voice and data, you can see my 5G is set to auto. I do not have 5G on, and I would highly recommend you turn this setting to 5G auto instead of 5G on. And also, if you've noticed that when you have 5G auto on and you really never see 5G, I would honestly just stick to LTE. I mean, that would get you even better battery life. But me, I like, of course, for what I do, I like being able to see where 5G is and how good of speeds I'm getting and things like that. But honestly, if you don't get 5G very often, I would just keep it on LTE. You're gonna save battery life on either one of these two, but especially on LTE. But if you have it on 5G on, your device will constantly be searching for that 5G tower, which is probably going to be pretty far away from you unless you live in a really big city and you're really close to a 5G tower. So I would recommend keeping that on auto for the best battery life, or actually LTE for the best battery life. But if you want 5G and be able to experience it, I would keep that on auto. And then also if we go to data mode right here, standard is the default option, and that's what I kept mine on. And I would probably recommend you do that as well. Now you could do low data mode, and you can read down here, it says, low data mode helps reduce Wi-Fi and cellular data usage by pausing automatic updates and background tasks. So you could keep that on if you want to save even more battery life, but I have mine on standard and I've gotten, great battery life even with it on standard. Now, of course, allow more data on 5G will eat away at your battery life, so you probably don't want to have that enabled unless you're doing like a software update over 5G, which will definitely eat away at battery life, but that's just one thing you probably do not want to have checked if you want to have great battery life on your iPhone 12. Now also, if you have Wi-Fi calling, if you have this as part of your plan, I would consider turning that on and using Wi-Fi calling as well, because when you use Wi-Fi in general over LTE, like instead of LTE or 5G, you will be saving battery life by doing that. So that's also another tip that I will give you guys, is to use Wi-Fi whenever possible. Most of my day is spent using Wi-Fi instead of LTE or 5G, and that definitely contributes to my good battery life stats that you guys see. So, but anyways, Wi-Fi calling is another thing I would consider using. Now, another setting that I changed on my iPhone 12, this is pretty much one of the first settings I always change on my new iPhones, is inside of sounds and haptics. Up top is Vibrate. I turn Vibrate on ring and Vibrate on silent off because that is a battery killer. It's been known for many years. That's why I turn vibration off on all of my iPhones. Pretty much, one of the first settings I changed, because obviously when you have the motor that causes your phone to vibrate, that does use up power. And of course, I'm always looking at my phone and things like that. So I don't really need vibration to know when I'm getting a phone call or a notification. And I almost never keep my phone off of mute either. So my phone is pretty much always on mute, and I don't ever get sounds either, which will definitely help, a little bit save some battery life as well, because obviously it's not using the speakers, which uses power. So, I just get the notifications, and, when my phone is locked, I'll see the notification. I don't really need sounds throughout the day. So probably 90 to 95% of the day I am on silent, unless I'm expecting like a phone call or an important notification. I will pretty much always have my phone on silent. Now, going back to that screenshot, that was actually taken on a Sunday. And on that Sunday, I was actually AirPlaying a live stream from Safari to my big screen TV, which is another thing that tends to use some battery life. Now, obviously, AirPlaying is not as bad as playing the video or the stream straight from my phone, because obviously it uses the speakers and your display and everything like that. But I'm just saying that I could have gotten even more out of my battery life that day if I was not AirPlaying that stream, that NFL stream, to my TV for like 3 or 4 hours. Now, also from that same Sunday, and even now, if you go to my battery section here and you look at all of my applications, you will notice that I do not have a single game in there. And that's because, number one, I don't really game on my iPhone too much. And number two, because the reason for that is because it eats up a lot of battery life no matter what device you're on, even the iPhone 12 and iPhone 12 Pro. So I tend to save my gaming for the iPad Pro or the iPad Air, or just whenever I'm going to be near a charger soon. Now, another pitfall of gaming is just how much it warms up your phone. And this has gotten so much better over the years, but it still happens with very intensive games like your PUBGs or like your Call of Duty Mobile, something really intensive like that. But that's my next tip, is to pay attention to the temperature of your iPhone 12 or iPhone 12 Pro. If it's getting warm, put it down, take a break for a little bit. Heat is going to be the number one enemy of the lithium ion battery inside of your iPhone 12 or iPhone 12 Pro. And that's also the reason I try my best not to use my iPhone while it's charging, especially if it's fast or wireless charging, which both tend to warm up the battery more than the slow 5-watt charging. So if your phone is constantly getting hot, it not only causes battery drain, but it also leads to battery degradation over time. Your battery will degrade a lot faster over time, and if you go into your battery health right here, your maximum capacity will drop a lot faster than if it was not getting hot on a consistent basis. And if you want to know the technical details on how I keep 100% battery capacity for pretty much almost a full year on all of my iPhones, I did make a video on that as well, and that will be linked up in the cards and down in the description below. And I would also highly recommend keeping optimized battery charging on. This is on by default, so if you did turn it off for whatever reason, I would go back in there and turn that on, because that will also help with overall battery degradation over time. Now, some of the other tips I would recommend for the iPhone 12 are inside of settings. If you go to settings and then general and then down to background app refresh, I would turn background app refresh off for certain applications that do not require it. So me personally right now, all the applications I have do require background app refresh. Maybe they don't require it, but it's not really eating up a lot of battery life. So that's why all of mine are on. But if you have more applications than me, I would recommend turning background app refresh off for applications that don't need to be, what it says, refreshed in the background. And then possibly even a more important setting is if you click on background app refresh, you may want to change this to Wi-Fi only if you are on, Wi-Fi most of the time anyway. So just take that into consideration because once again, Wi-Fi in general will use less battery than on cellular, LTE or 5G. Now, if you have email accounts set up on your iPhone inside of the Mail application, which I'm assuming most of you do, there is also an important setting you need to know to save some battery life. So if you go to your settings and go to Mail and then go to Accounts right here, you're gonna want to go to Fetch New Data right here, and you want Push to be off. And you can see right there, it says new data will be pushed to your iPhone from the server when possible. So that means that every time you get a new email, you will get a push notification, which is a huge battery drainer. Unless you're like a very important person and you have to know every single time you get a new email, you should not have that on. And then if you go down here to Fetch, I would highly recommend turning Fetch to either manually or hourly. One of those two. I would not have it automatically. I would not have it every 15 or 30 minutes. And then as for US holidays go, you can keep that on Fetch. It doesn't really matter. And if you wanted to change, the settings for each individual account, you can go ahead and do that there. But once again, I would highly recommend keeping this on manual. That means that every time you go into Mail is when it refreshes and finds new emails, and it doesn't do it when you're on the home screen or on your lock screen. So once again, it kind of depends on how you use your email. And if you need to know when new emails come through, of course, turn that on, push, but just know that that will eat up some of your battery life. And then also if we go to our settings and then to privacy and then to location services, you will want to consider turning off location for applications that do not need it. And then also if you go to system services right here, I would recommend turning off anything location-based, like location-based alerts or suggestions, things like that. And then also significant locations, highly recommend turning that off. And then also all the product improvements, I would turn those settings off just because none of these really serve a purpose and they will help you save some battery life. Now also you can see that I'm in light mode right now, but you will want to consider using dark mode on your iPhone 12 or iPhone 12 Pro just because these are OLED displays, and when you have a black background like that, there are not active pixels running in the background, which means your phone is using less power and in turn less battery. So use dark mode when possible. Me personally, I like having light mode on during the day and dark mode on at night, which is why I have the setting here in display and brightness to auto. I just changed it right there, but I do have it on auto and dark until sunrise. But I would also, recommend using dark mode when possible to save some battery life as well. And then you can see my other display settings right here as well. These are what I use and also what I recommend. And then when it comes to overnight charging, like I said, inside of battery and then battery health, I do keep optimized battery charging on, and I do also charge my phone overnight every single night. And I've been doing that for years, and I always get better battery life than pretty much anybody else I talk to. So there are myths out there saying that you should not charge your phone overnight, but I literally do it every single night and I get better battery life than most people. And then the final tip I want to talk to you guys about is to not let your battery get super low every day. So obviously the only reason my phone is on 5% right now is because I'm making this video and I wanted to stretch the battery life out as far as possible for this video's sake. But if that was me, not for a video, my phone would not get below 20% unless I just absolutely was not anywhere near a charger, if I was out and about or something like that. So the tip here is don't let your battery get super low every day, if at all possible. So I would charge your phone whenever you can throughout the day to slow down the amount of cycles your battery goes through. So once again, if you want to know more about the battery cycles, watch my How I Keep 100% Battery Capacity on My iPhones video, which is linked up in the cards and down in the description. That video will go into a little bit more depth when it comes to battery cycles. But basically, you don't want your phone going down super low. You want to keep it between, usually the sweet spot is between 50 and 80%, but I would just definitely recommend not letting it go below like 20 to 30% if possible. So anyways, guys, there you have it. Those are some tips for getting the most out of your iPhone 12 or iPhone 12 Pro's battery. I hope this video helped at least a little bit. I hope you learned at least one new thing. This was really me just talking about the guidelines that I follow and the things that I recommend and the things I was doing. So I hope you guys got some value out of it. And thanks to everybody over on Twitter for pretty much helping me validate this as a video idea. But yeah, if you guys did enjoy it, I would appreciate if you give this video a thumbs up. And of course, make sure you guys subscribe for a lot more iPhone 12 content coming very soon. But anyways, guys, thanks again for watching, and I'll see you soon.